Hello, this is Todd Wall of Aquatongue Media. And before I discuss today's article, I wanted to review a term, and the term is chore play. And I first became aware of the term chore play over a decade ago. Actually, around the time Sheryl Sandberg released her book, Lean In. And I'm not sure if everyone remembers what Lean In was about, but it was about how women can be successful in the workplace. I think one of the major emphasis points of Lean In was that, it's critical that women who are married, if they want to be successful in their relationship, need to find, partners who will accommodate them. And so one of the things she wrote about in the book was that, it's very important that you find someone who will do half of the household work, who will split chores evenly, so on and so forth. So chore play was a term. Sheryl Sandberg didn't use the term chore play in the book, but chore play was a widely adopted term as people began discussing the book. And so chore play, in most heterosexual relationships, women do most of the household work. And so chore play was this idea that women who have partners who are, who are okay with a more equitable split of household chores, women will reward those partners either unintentionally or intentionally with more sex. So that's essentially, if you're in a relationship and you split chores more evenly as a male, your female partner is going to reward you for doing so. And so I wanted to discuss that before I discuss this article, because that's the first thing I thought about when I saw this article. So the title of the article is "The Number One Thing Men Do to Screw Up Their Marriage, According to a Divorce Lawyer Who's Seen It All." And the first line is, "Do the damn dishes." Helping out around the house is one of the easiest things men can do to keep their marriage a happy one, a divorce lawyer revealed. A spouse who never participates in household chores often breeds resentment in the other spouse. Sarah Cochran, who sees her share of unhappy couples, said in a TikTok video, which I think is fair. You should obviously, if you're a male, you should obviously help around the house to some degree. How couples decide to split that work up, it depends on them. If the couples are, if they're both sort of bringing home an equal amount of money, they're both contributing financially to the relationship about the same amount. Clearly, chores should be split pretty evenly. If you have a relationship in which one partner, either male or female, essentially has a more demanding career and is bringing home more money, I think it's probably reasonable to think that the partner who has the less demanding career, that's less, providing less money, that partner probably should assume more of the responsibility around doing the chores. I think that's reasonable. So the article continues, "There's not going to be one incident that results in some extreme fight that ends the marriage. It's a slow burn," she warned. So essentially she's saying that a woman in a relationship in which, she's doing more chores, her partner's not contributing, she's just going to kind of slowly over time, anger and resentment is going to build, which is obviously bad for the relationship going forward. In heterosexual relationships, about 70% of divorces in the U.S. are now initiated by women. That is true. At some point, it may be worth discussing, the reasons for that, but let's continue. I think that marriage as an institution has been a little bit slow to catch up with expectations for gender equality. Michael Rosenfeld, an associate professor of sociology at Stanford University, told the American Sociological Association, "Women still take their husbands' surnames and are sometimes pressured to do so. Husbands still expect their wives to do the bulk of the housework and the bulk of the child care," the professor explained. Notice, and I sometimes hate to do this, but I do have to say it. These types of articles very infrequently and almost never discuss expectations placed upon the man. They typically are lamenting expectations placed upon the woman. But let's continue. That's why Cochran suggests that men specifically make sure they don't they don't leave their wives to check off everything on the to-do list by themselves. Very fair. My advice to you guys out there, if you want to stay married, empty the dishwasher once in a while, Cochran said. James Sexton, a world-renowned family lawyer based in New York City, has his own theories. He revealed in a podcast that the two main reasons why people get divorced are infidelity and money. James Sexton actually is all over YouTube. He's become a very familiar face on YouTube. A very interesting guy, actually very entertaining, very interesting to listen to him if you ever have an opportunity to see interviews with James Sexton. He's out there, so it's pretty easy to find. He's interviewed on multiple platforms, but he's very interesting. To avoid having to utilize Sexton services, he advises that couples truly pay attention to each other. However, fewer people seem to need Cochran and Sexton's advice than in previous years. The number of couples legally calling it quits has been dwindling following the lengthy period during the COVID-19 pandemic when weddings and dates were put on hold. An apparent silver lining to the lockdown. So I guess the silver lining is that there's fewer divorces now because fewer people got married over the past few years. The marriage rate is still reportedly low compared to the past 2 decades when the number of marriages hovered around 7 to 8 per 1,000 people a year. The divorce rate in 2002 was 2.4 per 1,000, down from 4 in 2000. Experts suggest that the rise cannot just be pinned on the pandemic, explaining that current societal and economic trends are changing how people enter into and handle relationships. I think that's a good thing. I think society has been in flux now for a couple decades. I think the relationships between men and women and what that should look like is still being worked out. I think it's probably a good thing that fewer people are entering into marriage. I think that people's expectations need to be aligned for healthy marriages, and if that's not the case, obviously you're better off not getting married. But I appreciate everyone taking the time to listen to me talk about this particular article. I thought it was interesting. I would love to hear any comments or feedback in the comment section below. And please, if you get a chance, hit the like button. And please also subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And everyone have a good weekend.